Hello everyone, it's Marie from Skeletorama again. Welcome back to my channel. So we are going to put together one of these little things, but it's probably not going to be this little thing. And I'll show you what I mean. So as I was mentioning on the last video, this right here, see the company here, this is Cute Room, okay? And it's a little box theater thing. Well, this is the same one, but this is Cute Bee, right? Which they may be, you know, close enough in name or whatever, but like I said, you'll see these with a bunch of different brands, okay? They're all the same brand because they have the same thing that I told you to look for, which is the two animals having a good old time, wherever the heck they're going. And it has that little poem thing. Let's look at this one real quick. Where are you? Here, see? These all become the part of them. I'm telling you, that's what to look for these. So anyways, I have 3 here. So I got to decide which one I want to do now. So I've got this one. Okay, this is the Snow Dream one. It's really cute. It's 2 little rabbits and it's got a snowy hill and stuff on top of it. But I also have this one. So this one is Cherry Blossoms and it's got, looks like a little izakaya right there, which is like a Japanese pub sort of a thing, little house, little tram. And third one, I do have a 4th one, but it wasn't as exciting as these. So this one is Candy Adventure. So I don't know which one I want to do. I kind of want to do the candy one. I really do, because it just looks psychotically gauche, right? So I think we might do that one. So let's get some of this stuff out of the way here. And so the first part of this I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what's in the kit and what we're going to need and all that stuff. So that I remember which one's which here. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at this one and see what we got. Okay, so when you open it, of course, you've got your instructions. And we have bag o' stuff. We have bag o' tin. And we have the little stand. So this one's cute. It's a little bear. And again, you're just going to sit it in there like that. And or no. No, you're not. You're going to sit it somewhere. I don't know. I'm not good at these. There we go. Going to sit it that way. And it leans back and you can see it and stuff. Yay. Okay, but we're going to leave this guy in the box there. And we will put the box to the side because we don't need it. There's no picture on it, so we really don't need it. Okay, so we have our tin. Here, let's see, make sure it's not gonna glare too much. So we have our tin here. And we have our bags of stuff. Get rid of the main bag. And we have our instructions. And so first thing I'm going to want to do is have something to put things in. So I've got my fish going on over here. Okay, so this bag here, this has your lights, your little fairy lights with your battery pack and your switch. And it has your 2 bears. Okay. This one doesn't usually have a letter. All right, so we have, wow. Okay, so we've got bag B, another bag B because, you know, I guess they ran out of letters or something. Bag C, 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 and C. Ah, Jesus. And sandpaper. So I always give you sandpaper. So that usually goes right there. And then I sit these kind of up here next to my desk so I can find the stuff. Those there and those there. Okay, and we have our instructions. So let's take a look at them. And it's going to tell you all the different stuff you have. So there's what's in bag B and more of it and more stuff. Wow, there's a lot of stuff in bag B in there. They forget to write C. Okay, now this is C. So it has C, all the little things, and then we start getting the instructions. So we're going to have a little bit of prep work to do for this, and I'll show you what that is here in just a second. We have our pages back here. These are all the things we're going to cut out and put on to various parts. And then this one's got the templates in the back. So, tools that we're going to need for this. So, got some scissors. I have a selection of tweezers. And of course glue. So we're going to mostly use super glue for this, just because the pieces are so tiny that just putting them together and moving your hand away to wait for it to dry, half the time you're going to knock it off of there and it's going to be very frustrating. We're going to use the Tombow Mono Multi Liquid Glue. This is going to be to put the templates onto the cloth. We put our box on top of the double-sided tape like an idiot, so that took a second, but I've got a bunch of different widths of it. We are going to use our 3-in-1 glue. This is going to be to glue, you know, this paper here to the tin and all that sort of thing. And of course we'll have our Scotch Create. And yeah, that should be about it for glues. And if some more glues come up, of course I'll be like, oh my god, I forgot this glue. Okay, so let's get started with this, shall we? I'm going to cheat and grab a different pair of scissors, because if you have the longer scissors, it doesn't take a half an hour to cut this stuff out. So I'm just going to go right here, avoid my little staples, and I'm going to cut fairly close, but not so close that it takes the booklet apart. And I'm going to set my booklet up here. Probably going to have this open to whatever the first instructions are, which is usually the battery pack and the lights and all that. Okay, so we have these different components here. I'm going to wait to cut them out until I get to those particular steps. But same thing, I keep those up here. But the one I do want to cut stuff out for are the templates, because what we're going to do is we're going to put this stuff on the back and then we're going to let this dry. Okay, so this doesn't really matter if it's the micro serration side or not. And you don't have to cut perfect with it, because this is just going to be going on whatever fabric or paper or felt or whatever they got in there. And so for this video, of course, I'll give you tips and tricks as we go, but I'm going to do a lot of it and fast forward. So that way you can see all the things getting made. But, I mean, it takes a minute, right? I'm not going to be able to put this together in 20 minutes. So, I will selectively fast forward through stuff. Of course, I'll warn you when I'm going to. Alright, so we've got yellow turf, and then how we deal with the material too is going to depend on what material it is as well. So I have a couple things for if we have fabric. The thing with cutting out the fabric at this particular size and scale is that, you know, when you temporarily stick your stuff to it, when you go to pull it off, it tends to like to fray your material. So there's a couple of things you can do. Usually I will just cover the back of it with double-sided tape. So that way pulling the front thing off it shouldn't hurt it, because it's all, you know, all the fibers are stuck down with the double-sided tape, and, you know, they're not giving you a high thread count fabric there. So sometimes I've done the ones where it's got like a little table and the little tablecloth gets cut off, and that just, yeah, destroys it. Just taking it off the templates. So that's also why whenever I do these, I always save any little bits of fabric or any little whatever. You know, part of it's the junk journaling thing. You know, we kind of tend to keep little bits of things anyway to stick onto other things, but it has come in really handy, because sometimes they don't like give you enough of the wire, or something happens and you mess something up and you're not stuck because you did save some of it. All right, so almost done with our templates here. One last one. We'll get rid of this stuff. All right, so we can throw this scraps away. Okay, so these are our templates, and so they're going to go onto whatever fabric or paper or whatever, just like this. Now this one doesn't say what it is on there, which normally it's like, oh crap. But the really cool thing about these is these are also generally the size of the piece of fabric that they give you, right? So we'll be able to figure out what that is. So I'm going to turn all these over like so. And I'm going to put the glue on the back because it needs to dry before I can put it onto anything, right? So I have my glue here. And I'm just going to do like a zigzag like this. Okay. So I'm not sure if you can see very well. See that? I've got kind of a zigzag on there. And so this is the part I was telling you. See the lines here? I'm going to hold it up to the light. I'm pretty sure you can't see that on here because of course my lighting is garbage, but I'll hold it up to light. I'm going to make sure that I got at least a little bit of glue that's going to be touching every part that gets cut out, right? So that it'll stay on there. And I did. So do the same for these, and like this, I can just kind of go right there like that. Make sure it's going through all of them. Yeah, of course I do that, and I'm looking at the wrong side like a moron. Okay, so yep, that's touching all the things. These ones should be fairly easy because they're just these little skinny strips. So I'm just going to put a little tiny bit, and this I'm going to kind of spread it out a little bit more so that the line of glue is not as high, because I don't want it to kind of interfere with cutting. Okay, same thing with this. So I'm going to go this way. Make sure I get all those, and so on and so forth for all of these. There we go. Oh, and I forgot this big huge one like an idiot. Okay, and this one has a couple little teeny tiny pieces, so I'm really gonna hold this up and make sure, yes, my glue does go through each of these pieces at least once. Okay, so we are going to let those dry. I'm gonna sit these kind of over to the side to do that. I'm putting them over here, but I have my laptop over here, so I have to be really careful with that. Okay, so we're gonna look at the directions here and see kind of what we've got going first. So the first thing is gonna be here. So we're going to do the batteries, and we're going to make the little battery attachment thing for it. So our batteries are in here. Now this is one of the parts that's gonna involve wiring. So let's see what we got here. We have this, we have our fairy lights, we have our battery pack, and it usually comes with the batteries, but not always. This feels rather light, so let's see. Okay, well that pisses me off. I have a really awesome set of little screwdrivers that I just got in, of all things, a Harry Potter subscription box, and I can't find them. And they're beautiful, and I put them somewhere because I'm like, oh, I can use those. Those are gonna be super useful. Maybe I should put them somewhere where I'll never freaking see them again. So instead, because of course they have a screw on here, I'll grab these because these work. All right, I have a sneaking suspicion the batteries are not in this. And a lot of times that has to do with customs, and they're not allowed to send the batteries. So sometimes, yeah, see, there's no batteries in here. Sometimes when you get the little kits, they're not going to have all the stuff you see some of the people create with, like some of the paints and the stains and everything, just because of different laws of bringing them into the US. Okay, that's why I have these. So these are LR44s. I believe that's what goes in here. Now with these, you definitely want to put the correct side in because it will heat up very quickly if you do not. So it's showing the positive side up this way, which is the front side. And you just put it in here like so. And yes, it is the right size. Okay, so with these little teeny ones, LR44, this pack was like, I think maybe $4. It wasn't too bad. If it's the other ones that are for like the big flat ones that are about that big, they're going to be these here. Same thing, you can get them on IKEA, you can get them on Amazon, you can get them at Walmart. So it's always good to find because, yeah, usually when I would order these kits, they wouldn't have the batteries and I wanted to see the lights. So I can. All right, there's those. So we're gonna put these in here again. These are going face up like so. Okay, and you know, we should probably wait a minute on that because we're gonna, well, no, as long as it's not turned on. Except I don't know which way's on. Huh, okay, well, we'll leave the last one out until we do that part because, yeah, seriously, it'd be my luck to shock myself with the damn thing. Okay, so they have this paper stuff in here for you. It's like this shiny plasticky paper stuff. This right here is for putting on your wires once you've wrapped your wires together. It's terrible. So usually I have electrical tape that I use instead, which is right here. I have a much better shot of wrapping this nicely with this, but we'll leave it over here anyway. All right. So now with this, we're going to need some pieces here, and they're in bag B. Okay, so they've got these two flat pieces of stuff you're going to cut out, and that's where this is, little things that hold this. And then we've got this piece here, which is the piece that your little plug is going to go through. Pop that out of the way for you. Okay, so we've got this guy here. We have this piece here with its little switch. And then we're going to need this right here. Okay, and these you'll see in the instructions. It'll show you what they are. Plus they have usually a little number stamped on them. So like that is B5, okay? So here's where your X-Acto comes in because these are just barely held on. All right, so we need to take this here and we're going to have one. These are kind of like the spacers, so it's going to space it in the tin for you. And it's got us with it like so. Oh, we need one more piece. There it is. There. So these are going to go like so, and you're going to have a little piece in the middle of it. Okay, so sometimes they'll tell you how far away, but not on this particular one, right? So I kind of hold it like it is in the picture. The real kicker is a lot of times the picture is upside down. It's not in this one, but just find your picture, and hopefully I will zoom into this so you can see these things, but you're gonna find your picture and you're gonna hold it the same way and do this here. There was one kit that I put together that had these stairs, and I just could not get these damn stairs to go together like the picture. And that's when I realized that the picture was reversed. Great. Okay, so basically you got your L shape, and this long side of the L shape is going to go along the bottom part here. Okay, here's where your super glue comes in. So with the gel super glue, sometimes it'll kind of separate a little bit from the liquidy part, so you're going to want to shake it up and then kind of shake it down. Otherwise you'll get carpal tunnel trying to squeeze this glue out. All right, so, and they're all interchangeable, so it's going to be the long side of the L going on there. And on this, you can kind of see the glue coming down. So that'll help. I don't know if you can see. It's just a tiny bit on there, not a ton. But it should grab pretty quick. So we've got our thing here. And I just put it on the wrong side, didn't I? Ugh. Okay, when you do that, Jesus, just kind of set this piece off to the side because you're going to stick to it. It goes on this side of it. God knows. And believe me, you'll find out if you do the wrong one, or does it? I don't even know. Okay. I was just about to say, you know, the pictures are really good on these. All right, so our long L side is what's going to go back here to the back. And this looks like it's about 1/4 inch-ish. Okay, we're going to put it here. And with the gel, you have a second, so you got to kind of hold it for a second. Then you can let go and then let that dry. Same with this, but we want to put this in first, right? So we've got this. This is going to be your finished side because it's got the decorative. And then it's going to sit here like so. So you want to make sure that you got enough clearance for it here to turn it on and off within your little square, or when you go to turn it on and off, you're going to pop it right off of there. Now with this one, I do it a little different. And I'm going to use 2 kinds of glue. This is an Aira from Bentley House Minis trick, and it works like a charm. So PVA glue, so tacky glue, I use the Scotch Create tacky glue because unlike Aleene's tacky glue and stuff, it's got less water content to it. When this meets super glue, it's like Instabond, and it's really, really strong. So since we're going to be gluing metal to wood, we're going to use this trick. So I'm going to take a little bit of PVA glue. I'm going to put it here and here because that's where these 2 things are going to touch. And I'm going to take my super glue. I'm going to put it just on where these little circles are, like these little metal tab bits. And I'm like psychotic about putting the lid back on the super glue because I don't want to stick myself to it either. And then we're going to take this piece here, okay, and we're going to center it, and we're going to put it down. Oh, there we go. We're going to press it for a second, and it's going to kind of interact with that PVA glue. It's not going to hold it super quick just because this is really heavy. But see, so we've got our little plug in there, and you want that in there before you put these supports on because you'll probably put them in the wrong spot and make it too skinny for it. Okay, so we've got that going there. And then on this, you're going to put these over the top. That's why they've got like these little tiny grooves. Can you see that little groove at the bottom right there? So that it can accommodate sitting over the top of the thing that have the holes on it, the metal. And so this is going to help secure it in place also. Okay, same thing. We're going to put it on this part here. It has a little notch. And then the long straight side is going to go towards this long straight side. Okay, let's see if I can turn it so that you can see. And then we're just going to press that down flat. Give it a second to grab. So see? Just like that. And I'll do the other side. So there we go. Voila, you have your little finished assembly. So we're going to set these aside and we're going to let them dry. Super glue is not magic and it's not super instant. It does need to kind of cure a little bit to get its full strength, so you can snap it off pretty easy if you get to stuff too quick. So now the next thing we're going to do is we are going to do this little piece here that's going to cover up where all your electronic stuff goes in. So we look for B6, which is right here. We're going to cut this out. And then now we need the little paper thing that's going to go on there. So there's two things. It is, or no, one thing, the Candy Adventure one. So I'm going to fast forward and I'm going to cut that out. But before I fast forward, I will let you know, when you're cutting little small things like this, first off, if you have the Tim Holtz scissors, make sure your Tonic logo is facing away so you don't get the micro serrations, because you will notice them at this scale. And then as you're cutting around, say, these detailed areas, always move your paper, don't move your scissors. You have way more control moving your paper than you do your scissors. If this were a darker color, I would probably use what I talked about in the last video. I would go along the edge with the archival ink to kind of blend the edges in, get rid of the white. But in this case, the white actually works on it. Okay, so this piece here is actually what's going to go between this one and this one. I'm just kind of trying to be careful. It's obviously it's the other way around, but it's going to go between these and hold this on. So what we're going to do is we're going to glue this piece to this piece after we've put on the paper. So the paper for this, if you've got a number cut in, just flip it over. That way you don't accidentally get any kind of, you know, it won't indent on you. And then I take the PVA glue, and I'm going to put it on here. I'm going to stick this down to this. And so with the Scotch Create glue, it grabs pretty quick. All right, so now we are going to glue this piece to this piece. Now, as you can see, sometimes your pieces might be a little warped. So this piece is a little warped. Not a big deal. One of the other fun tools you should always have are clamps. And I have clamps. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take super glue for this too. And I'm going to put it right in here in the middle. You don't need a ton. It's not more is better, just like a little line of it. Because believe me, it'll hold it just fine. And then we're going to line this up so that it's centered on this. And we'll hold it down. And you can see kind of the end of this goes to the end of these. But with this, since it was bowed a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and clamp it. Just for a few minutes, just till it really grabs onto there. It's going to straighten it up. Okay. And so I'm going to let this stuff dry for a minute and I will come back to you and we will move on to the next bit, which is going to be putting this into the tin. Okay, so I've straightened up a little bit because I cannot stand clutter, especially doing stuff this small, because then you can't find it. So in that vein, to spare ourselves some heartache, what we're going to do is, because I know I'm going to stick myself to this stuff, It's dry enough, see? It's nice and tacky, it'll come off of there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this bag here. This has all the different materials in it. So we're gonna take these out, we're gonna lay them out, we're gonna see what we got. Okay, so we've got this really cool iridescent filmy stuff. We have some gold paper. I think we've figured out what that one was. There's some pink fabric, and see how it's already fraying like that? So we're gonna want to be kind of careful with it. It's kind of like a suede sort of fabric, so I'm gonna put it suede side up. We have like this pink foamy sort of business, some brown foamy sort of business. We have this brown paper that's got sort of the ridges on it, like corrugated paper. And then we have the fake grass type stuff. So we've got this light green, we have a dark green, and we've got a yellow. So now we're gonna grab one of these at random here. And so this is our dark green turf. Now, it's got stuff right to the edge. So I'm gonna take a wild guess that it's gonna have us fold that. So in that case, I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna go to the instructions where it shows about that. And yes, so C5 we're gonna fold in half. So that's the dark green, and the light green we're gonna fold in half as well. So the dark is C5 and the light one is C6 and everything else is flat. So where the heck did it go? Is that this? There we go. So our dark green turf. So we can tell by the shape of this that we're gonna wanna fold it this way. Is it gonna stay folded? Of course not. But see how it has these leaves here? So this is clearly where they want you to put it on the fold. So we're gonna do that. And we're just gonna stick this down like so. Now we can let it back out. It's not gonna hurt anything because we're not gonna cut it just yet. We're just trying to get all this stuff off of here. All right, so this is the pink cloth. And our pink cloth. Here we're gonna stick that onto there. And see how it stays? Right? You just need it to grab a little bit. You don't wanna cover the back of it because then you will start to rip your fabric when you cut it. All right, so this we have puzzled out is our gold piece of paper. And again, when you put these on here, just kind of put it on there real light. Also, don't press too, if you press too hard, you'll activate the fact that it can also be a permanent glue. Okay, so this is our sugar paper is what they're calling it. I'm just gonna put that down on there. What do we got? Brown corrugated paper. So again, you're gonna want it with your finished side up. I made the mistake of putting it on the back side of these one time, and that was great. All right, so this is our pink sponge paper. It's an interesting name. We have our light green turf, so that's this one. So judging by the size, we're gonna go this way with it. And again, we're gonna make sure those leaf things are at the fold. And even though it's turf and it's got like fake grass, it still holds it, as I say, as it slides right off of there. We'll press this one down a little bit more. And we'll just have to watch it as we cut it. And then our yellow one is just gonna go straight down. And then oddly enough, I'm not seeing anything for this, but there could be another template in there somewhere. So we're just gonna sit this off to the side. Okay, so now we've got all our little papers here. And sometimes I'll even take them and I'll put them back in the bag. Because usually, she says, the stuff's gonna stay on. The wild card's gonna be the turf paper here. Just because it's like little grass. All right, let's get these back out of the way and see what we have to do next. All right, so let's go ahead and unclamp this because it wasn't super bowed, but see, now it's nice and flat. Okay, so now for this next part, we're gonna put these parts into our little theater. But it probably would be a good idea, because it's really hard to get your fingers in here once you got it stuck in, to go ahead and put our lights on. Okay, so we've got our lights here, and we'll stretch it out a little bit here. Oh, damn. Sometimes they'll have the nice little heat shrink wire things that you can put on there. Those are great. So we've got a gray and a white, and on here we've got a gray and a white. And these ones you don't have to mess with the wire strippers, because see how there's like a little break in it? You just grab and pull. Keep in mind these wires are very, very delicate and very easy to snap right off. So we're going to take these off. And we are going to connect them, and then we're going to put some electrical tape on them. So knowing how I am, I'm going to get my electrical tape ready first. Okay, and now I'm just going to twist the wires onto here. I twist them like this real good, and then I kind of lay them flat, and then I put the stuff on there. You want to try to hug the wire as close as you can with the electrical tape. Did I do a good job? I did not. Do I ever do a good job? I do not, but I'm not an electrician, so there's that. Okay, so now we are going to put the last battery in here. Remember, it's going to go facing up. And we have our switch, and we're going to do the thing that I almost never do. And then I get all mad when it doesn't work, but we're going to test the lights, and they work. Huzzah! So now we just put the backpack on. So the next part we're going to do is we're going to attach these into here now that we have the lights on. So I'm going to try not to glare it at you. Step out of the way. Okay, so these are shaped to go in here like this. So it's always best to dry fit this stuff to make sure you didn't put this on wrong or something like that. And it's going to have like this channel here. This channel is where all your wires and stuff are going to go. And so this is going to fit nice and snug up against here. These are kind of slippery and hard to maneuver a bit. And same with this. This one's going to go here, but you're going to make sure all your wires are going this away under that little L when you put it down, and you can kind of sit it in there. And you want to get it as straight as you can. I'm going to use super glue for this, and I'm going to hold each one. So I'm going to fast forward as I do this so you don't have to listen to me prattle on through the whole thing. But we're going to put these two parts in next. And when I do the super glue, I'm going to put it, you know, of course, on this bottom surface here where it's going to contact, and on these little bits where they're going to contact there as well. So here we have it. And what this is sized for is so that you can get this out. So do yourself a favor and make sure it's laying down real good before you do anything else with it. And then in a perfect world, this is going to slip right in here. You kind of wiggle it, you drop it, and then you sort of wiggle it down here and then put it in here. Now, sometimes like this, it doesn't quite fit. These are a little too close together, so I probably can scoot this over a bit. But it's going to involve breaking the super glue bond, or I can always sand that. It's a little harder with this on there, but yep, I'm gonna have to move this. And do this pretty carefully. I do it by kind of weakening that and then kind of pulling it up. So once again, here we go with super glue, but you can see how well that held it. It didn't take very long either. So I think what I'm gonna do with this is I'm gonna take the center piece and kind of hold it in place before this catches, so that I can make sure that I'm not gluing my thumb to this, that it's got room. And voila, much better. Take that off. We're gonna let this kind of dry again for a second, since I had to take that off there. But if you do have to take these off, just be really, really, really careful. So otherwise you're gonna have to re-glue everything. And you'll get really adept at putting super glue on with one hand. The cap on it anyway. All right, so I'm gonna set this aside over here. And the next part, they're gonna have us put the backing on it. So that's gonna be this piece. And then directly after, it's going to be the floor. So we're going to cut these two out. And in the instructions, it has you put this on last. I'm not going to make enough of a mess where that's going to be an issue. So I'm going to go ahead and put it on when I put these two on here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these out and put on fast forward. I'll be back to you in a minute. Okay, so now with these pieces here, since they do have kind of a darker border and you have that white edge now, it's just an aesthetic thing for me. I'm going to hit it with my archival ink. I'm just going to really lightly go on the edges. One of the things it'll do is, if you're cutting something out, like some of the smaller things, it helps disguise when you don't cut it very good. Hides a multitude of sins, this stuff. But I am going to be real careful up here to just very lightly go around the edges, since it is kind of a lighter color. But see how it gives it kind of a vignette look, and it looks like I meant to screw that corner up, right? Oh, always. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and grab out our floor and have that ready here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and glue our floor down. So if you notice, this has little notches. There's 3 little notches in that square, and this has 3 little notches, and then it's square. So it's going to help you put it on the correct side and the correct way up. So we're not using that. Come on now. So we're going to do the same sort of thing. I'm going to put just a little bit of glue. Don't use too much, because again, it could pucker, but I'm not worried about it on this small of a scale. On the back, we're going to be using the acetone base glue, so it doesn't warp. Come on, really? I'm going to line this up, make sure everything lines up real straight and square. And set this off to the side. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the back on, then the floor on, and then we're going to glue all of these little lights in place, which is a big pain in the ass, honestly. And then we'll put the back on there. But if you'll notice on this, see there's a little square and it says 5 and a little square that says 6. This is where some of those lights are going to glue down. Sometimes it has you cut this out and put the lights behind it. I don't think it does it on this one. Yeah, no, thank God for that. Because usually what they'll have you do is they'll have you glue it to the back of this, which is also fun to wrestle into place. This particular one has a line because this is going to wrap this way. And so that's one of the places where you can use these if you have them. And you just line them up on there. So I'm going to have a nice straight line. Don't have to worry about missing anything. Voila, done. And then with these, I'll usually kind of pinch it down that way. Hopefully I was in frame when I did that because I just looked at my mirroring software. I'm like, I might have been a bit high for that. But anyway, so we've got this all ready to go. And we'll bring our tin over here. So we're going to want to make sure this is laying down in here nice and flat and doesn't have any wires in its way, so that when we go to take it out at some point, you know, it's not going to give us any issues. So we're actually going to kind of pull this to the side of it because we're going to put this backing piece down. So again, dry fit it to make sure that you didn't cut it too big. You don't want it to warp, but it's going to go in like that. And then this little piece of glue on the side. So this is where this comes in, because this is going to keep it from warping, but it's going to hold it really well. It's a nice strong glue. And so you're just going to take this and you're just going to put it on the back. And I like to get it like right around the edges. And I'll wait to do that little part until we get the main part stuck to it. Okay, and then we're going to put this in here. And this gives you a lot of wiggle room. See, look, I can wiggle it around. And then I'm going to press it nice and flat because it, you know, it's going to stand up a little bit because it's kind of thick. And this will help press those down too, so you don't get any kind of weird shapes. But see, it's nice and flat. There's no warping. It's not bubbling, nothing, because this is not water-based. So I'm going to get this little part here where we got it on the side. And that I'll just put right on the little piece of paper itself. If I can get the little piece, there we go. Okay, and if you want, you can put it like right around those edges and really glue it down. You really don't need to, honestly. It's not gonna hurt anything. You're not gonna be in there fiddling with it, so it's not like it's gonna come off. And it does look kind of weird when you smush it down like that, because the landscape all of a sudden goes off the edge, you know. Okay, so there we've got that in. So now we're going to wrestle with this. It's got the wires here, so I put those to the back because when I take it out to replace batteries, I'm going to pull it out this way. So you want to give yourself as much room as you can. And then with these, it's calling for 6 lights, right? So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You want to pay attention on your little diagram. They give you like a thing here, and it shows you where light 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are. So you want to make sure that these are going to hit that area. So light number 1 is going to go right about there, looks like. So when we put our wires and things through here, we want to tuck this stuff out of the way, but you want to make sure you've got enough play where this one's going to go where it's supposed to go, right? So that's where one of my tips comes in here. If I just had the one to get the electrical tape off, it'd be great. Okay, so I'm going to take my little electrical tape here, and I'm going to put this about where it's going to go when I glue it in, just to make sure I've got enough room. I'm just going to tape it there temporarily, right? So that way I know where these are going to go, because these are going to kind of poke up through the little notch on the floor. And this is one of the more irritating parts of it, especially if you screwed up and didn't get this through the little things. God knows. Okay, other tip is go ahead and string these through underneath this business here. There we go. And so now we can kind of ease these sort of under here to make sure that these are coming out right here near that notch, and there's going to be room for them. Okay, so we've done that. We've got this here, so now we can put our floor in. And so this little part here where it's totally square is going to go to the back. And again, always a good idea to dry fit this stuff, because this usually ends up being kind of a tight fit. Okay, and it's going to go on like so. So these little notches are actually for this, you know, edge of the tin here. The easiest way to do that is to have that in and then kind of lift it up a bit and then put your super glue on and put it back, because it'll hold just fine as long as you got it on the super glue stuff on the front. And then you end up turning it and flipping it too much, and yeah, fun, good times. All right. And there we go. I'm going to hold this for a couple minutes here just to make sure it's nice and secure. Okay, so that looks like it's holding pretty good. We're going to just let it sit for a while. In the meantime, we can go ahead and put this on here as well. Same thing. And this one you do want to go kind of round to the edge, because you're going to be opening and closing it. See, there we go. And again, if you've watched those videos, you've seen where this thing will warp like crazy. It's not warping at all. And that has to do with that glue. All right. And see, we can put this little thing in here. You don't really want to leave this on while you're working on it though, because it'll fall off and drive you nuts, but it's getting there. So the most frustrating part of this, usually for me, is these lights. They are a pain because it's the plastic and the lights, and they don't want to stick to the metal, right? So actually we're going to keep that out, because we are going to tape these down while they dry, because I don't want to hold them for eternity. So we'll have a few pieces here. It's the beauty of a glass mat, is I can just stick stuff down and it'll stay. I'm just looking at the wiring diagram to see how many pieces I'm probably going to need. I'm not going to tape down right here because I've got that paper right there. Okay, so this again is another place for the Aera trick where you do super glue and PVA glue. Now these are going to go up here kind of along this, I would say about 1/4 of an inch from the edge of this. So just keep that in mind when you're putting stuff. It's probably going to be a hot mess because you're going to put a blob of glue here and you're going to stick this down and it's going to shift. It's not going to be a neat application. I've yet to make it a neat application, so that's just the way it goes. But so I'm going to do that. That one I am going to put on fast forward, but I'm going to do each one of these again based on this right here. So it tells me exactly where to put these, and you just kind of reference, use the holes that the lid are on as a reference. And then we do know that 5 and 6 are going to go on this. These are the ones you want to be really, really careful with. So what I do is I do these first and let them dry. And then if I'm putting them on here, then I'll put them in there, just because it's real easy for these to pop off and take these with it. And then you're tearing your paper. You don't want to do that. So this I'm definitely going to put on fast forward because I don't want to edit out swearing, to be honest with you. So there we have it so far. So you can see these, they're kind of stuck in there, and I have the electrical tape just kind of holding the wire next to them so it keeps some tension, keeping it kind of up against that. So we are going to leave this until all of that stuff is clear, because then that means it's dry. And we lucked out because these actually stretch pretty straight. Sometimes they'll have them where you're putting them real close together and you have all this extra wire. Then you got to kind of twist it and loop it and stick that down too. That's a real pain. But so we're going to do that. We're going to let these two just hang out there for a few minutes because they'll be going in here. But I will come back to you once all that stuff is clear and dry. Okay, so this has had plenty of time to dry. As you can see, it's nice and clear now. And so we're going to remove our little electrical tape that we had kind of holding it in place, because now it should stay in place. And then we have to get our other two lights on, and then it'll be time to do all the fun little stuff. So when you're doing this, make sure you pull it carefully, because you don't want to have this on here to hold it in place just to pull it off and yank it right out of place, right? Ask me how I know. I should have like a name tag with that on it. Ask me how I know. All right, there we go. All right, and we will take a look at it. You ready? Ah, okay, so there's our little lights. All right, so now we still have a little spot here where we need numbers 5 and 6. And so we're going to put them on the same way, except this time we're obviously not going to hold it with electrical tape. We're just going to be very careful with it. And so when we do 5, that's going to give us like some extra room in the wire. So I just kind of will go ahead and sort of pre-loop it a little bit so it takes up some of the slack for it. And I've moved the camera in, but you know, God forbid my lighting function. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to put that down there. And then 6, same sort of thing. So we're just going to kind of like make a little loop. Usually these, if they have them like this where it's on top of it, there's going to be something there, like a building or something. So it's going to be shining out of the little building thing. All right, so we have again PVA glue and super glue. Get both of these ready. We're going to start with number 5. And then once we do this, we can maybe add a little bit, you know, to hold that wire if it looks like it needs it. Yeah, let's not do that. That would be insanely bad. Wow. Starting off strong. Okay. Let's get some glue on here. Don't do that one too vigorously because I've gotten it all over my hand before doing it that way. Come on. Out you go. There we go. And we're just going to kind of put it around and land it right in that PVA glue. I'm going to hold this for a minute. See, it's already holding down. So now we're going to do the same with number 6. And then we can kind of hold the wire that's between them to kind of help hold both of them down. A little bit on here. I usually kind of go for the side of it, whichever is the kind of flatter part of it. This stuff smells like bleach, I swear. Okay. Now we've got to get this over here without sticking ourselves to super glue. And we'll hold this one in place also. And so I'm using my fingernail, and I'm just kind of pressing down with my fingernail because it's way easier to get your fingernail off with super glue than it is your skin, right? So we'll hold this down for a minute till it kind of grabs. And then I'm going to add some PVA glue kind of in here where these wires cross. And then I'm going to press down on the wire near it and back on that one. And I'm going to hold that, and I'll join you back in just a minute. All right, so once we are satisfied that that is laying down and is going to probably stay down, go ahead and slip this in here, and I'm going to just set this off to the side. Okay, so as you can see, our glue is dry on these now, and we can turn our lights on and see. They look cool. So anyways, this is probably a good place to stop because I know once I edit it down, even with the fast forwards, it's going to be really long. So we'll stop here with this basic part, and then in the next one, we will get about making all of the fun things, or, you know, slightly infuriating, but kind of fun stuff, and putting the rest of it together, which hopefully will be a little shorter bit of a video, but yeah, so that's what we're going to do. So I will see you guys in part 2. Take care. Bye.